have you ever been in this situation? Say you're in some folder and you know that somewhere in these folders there's a file or folder that you want to search for. Usually you would use Windows search and wait about 20 minutes to search for something, especially if you're searching through the entire thing. What's that called? A volume. Yeah, throughout an entire volume. And you might not even find what you're looking for. And it's really annoying. So, me and Reva made an HK program to fix this specific thing. And recently, I have refactored it to be better, essentially, to be written better. And currently, you're seeing that code on the background. So, how it works. I press my hotkey that I set up. I get an input box. Yes, indeed, it's clean input box, something that I shown off to you 2 videos ago. Say I want to search for Markdown files. I press enter. See how fast it searched for everything? Amazing. So now I have all the results here. Since all the matches were files, you can see them here. However, if there was a folder called .md, or maybe had that in its name, it would appear here and this would be empty. So that's why this category wasn't shown. So here's the directory of that file and the name of the file itself. We can easily resize this and it takes care of the list box here. So that works. Oh my god, hold on. Что now? Что now? Да ладно. Серьезно? Мяу? Ты чё, мяу? 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 Alright, so when you right click on some entry, you copy its path. You get an info saying that. Now it's in your clipboard. If you double click on it, it gets opened in the Explorer. And as you can see, it gets highlighted. So, reason why that's useful is, say you're in this folder. The file you're looking for is one of these files, but you just simply can't see. Well, you can just search for that. Double click, and here it is, highlighted. Boom. So very, very usable. This window is always on top. Reason for that decision is that, say we go back to programming and we search for Markdown again, I can have it here and open multiple files and then close this window, and all of them will be highlighted. This is so the search window doesn't disappear into somewhere and you have to look for it. It's unnecessary maybe, but I like it. It might get removed in the future. Nevertheless, that's the thing. It's amazing. And let's search for something in the entire volume of C. Matter of fact, let's look at how much I have. It doesn't tell you how much I occupy, but basically that's how much things I have. Let's search for Markdown files. So while a search is going on, there will be an info saying the search is in progress. This is for you to not worry about whether or not it's actually searching. And matter of fact, you can close this window because you'll be opening windows later anyway. Now, let's get to the code. The reason why I made clean input box is essentially for this thing. I wanted to have an input box, the same one that I used for my Googler. So I decided to split it off into its own class to be able to use it in file system search. So in the new method, we're creating the GUI of the results that has the list view and all that. So that's the width and height that it is by default. You can resize it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. As a matter of fact, maybe is a good idea. Let's find where I actually use the show method to show it. It's probably a better idea to autosize it. And yeah, most definitely. I think that making it some specific width and height is no longer something that should be there. So Autosize. About this, I just accidentally closed that GUI. I'll get an error now on this line, which I forgot to fix. See? But yeah, it took, I think, a minute. I didn't count, but you can see how much it took when watching the video. It searched through the entire C thing, and there's a lot of Markdown files, or things that have .md in them overall. So it was really fast. When using the Windows search, I don't think it's even a plausible idea to do this kind of thing. But with this, yeah, it worked, absolutely. So I love that, absolutely. However, I'm not sure that this is actually going to work. Yeah, because I didn't account for searching throughout the volume. Let me do that and come back. All right, fixed now. So yeah, here you go. Found some folders that have .md in them. Here they are. Here are the files and the actual folder that contains whatever result it is. And let's try to open it. Here it is. Amazing, truly. Very nice. And also I removed the always on top. I realized that it's somewhat unnecessary, and this is the cryptic fix. Essentially, if the Explorer window is just the volume, then remove the backslash because it's in here. So let's get back to it. New method. Since this class extends the GUI class, we can super new, meaning create a new GUI object, make font nicer, dark mode, shown off this many times. That's from my GUI library. Then we add text, which tells us the important information that, oh, right click to copy path and double click to open it. Width offset and height offset will be useful later when we take care of the resizing of that window. So we'll get to that. This list, essentially I'm getting a GUI object to the control of the list of items and creating it. Count 50. Explained in the comments, well, we are allocating memory to essentially how many results there probably will be. So when you search for something, you probably have more than just .markdown, or maybe a folder is small enough that there won't be that many results. So 50 is like a pretty safe estimate of how much we'll have. We can still have more, obviously, as you saw with those results when I searched for .md in the entire C volume. But by allocating memory straight away, we're improving performance, and we won't take that much memory to do that. And we color the control, the list view, the same way the GUI is colored. We create file, folder, and directory. So if it's a file, it will be there. If it's a folder, it will be there. If it's a directory, or rather, not if it's a directory, the directory that contains that file or folder will be the third one. All right. This is actually how I compile the full path that we need at the end, by combining either directory and folder or directory and file. You can set the case sense to something. By default, it's off. So whether you type in your search lowercase, it will still search for stuff that are, say, uppercase or title case or whatever else. If the letters and symbols themselves match, that's all you need. So if you wanted to, you could change this to on to be case sensitive. Or if you have files that are named not just in English, you would change this to locale to account for that. And locale, as far as I know, is case sensitive. However, you can look that up in the docs. What I'm talking about there is essentially in string. So actually, let's search up. Oh, hold on. Matter of fact, I made a tutorial on this. You can change your docs to have different settings. Now when I reload this, it's dark mode, a bit bigger. I started search. So in string, case sense. Let's look. Case insensitive. Yeah, so locale lets you search for non-English characters as well. However, look at this. 1 to 8 times slower than just off. So depends on how much you need it, whether you do or not. For most things, you won't see any difference in speed, but it might be useful, and it's case insensitive. So yeah, where do you specify that? So file system search, you create a new object, a new instance of that class. So search where, you skip that, I'll go over what that does. In case sense, that's where you specify it. So on, and then you do start searching. Yeah, start search. Start search if you already have some input. However, if you want to search with this kind of box, I actually don't remember. Hold on. Get input, yes. You use get input, and here you go. Now it's a case sensitive search. I don't personally want that, but if you always want to have your case sensitivity to be on, you can change it in the code itself and use that from then on. I'm gonna leave it at off though, and continue on. So we so we set the case sensitivity to be used later. Now, search where. What is this? By default, usually, you already have an Explorer window open in which you want to search. So this method, or this class, this program, takes the title of the Explorer window and uses it as a path of where to search. However, maybe you have some other method of telling this class where to search, or maybe it's always in the same directory, or maybe you always want to search the entire volume. Whatever it is, you can specify where to search. So say you always want to search in this folder. Here you go. You can specify, search here. And by the way, if you try to search for something and you don't have an Explorer window open, you'll get an error, but not quite. Let me show that off. So, get input. Yeah, so let's run this. Open an Explorer window first, because there is none. This is technically the Explorer window as well. But I use regex to figure out whether there is an actual Explorer window. And also, say you open downloads, the title of that window is just downloads. It doesn't have a volume or anything. You'll get that same error as if you don't have it open. Because what is downloads? How do you get to them? Technically, I think they're in users, your username, and then downloads. So yeah, I could program that in, but I simply didn't. Maybe now it's programmed in the future when you're watching this video, but I don't promise that. So those are the two things. Usually though, you will be in some volume searching for something. Okay, so if you set a different path, that is now the path where you will search for. However, if you didn't set it, which you usually won't, validate path. What is that? So, we're trying to search for an Explorer window that starts with some capital letter and then a colon. right? Yeah, a colon. And then something else potentially, or not. We get the title of that window. So in this case, it would be C:\\. That is now the path that you want to search within. If it didn't find this window, there will be an info, as you saw, and the entire thread is exited. So nothing else gets done after that. Cool. So after we figure out where to search, we set on events. What are on events? Let's search for something once again. What? Well, that's weird. I am utterly confused. Hold on, let me fix that. Fuck. I thought I stopped it. Well, that's sort of embarrassing. Reason for this, I pause my recording, then get the time I'm currently at, so I can later put a card at that time for you to easily click. And you probably saw that info, that card on the top right, unless I just forgot. Not sure why I would, but yeah. Essentially, info is amazing, I love using it. Okay, on size we fix resizing. So, why? What are we doing here? If we just start resizing, this control would stay the same. So on resize, we have to resize this control as well. And that's what we're doing with that. And also, say we do this fixed resizing thing, and when we resize the main GUI, this gets resized as well. Okay, but the margins on the bottom and right will be kind of fucked. That's why we have an offset, which actually should be a bit bigger now that I realize it. So yeah, the reason for having an offset is so there's these nice margins on the right and bottom. And I think they're slightly wrong, and I should fix them. But yeah, otherwise it would just span until the end at the bottom and at the right side of the GUI. And with offset is defined somewhere here. Here it is. I'll change it to be better. So, where were we? So this list move. By list, we are referring to the control object. Control object? Yeah, control object of the list view. And we're changing it. Well, let's look at parameters. X, Y, we don't need to change. We only need to change width and height. So we specify the width, that is the current one that we're going to change it to, and the height. The width and height is of the GUI. So we take the width of the GUI, offset it by the offset, get the height of the GUI, offset it by the offset. Cool. Now we fix resizing. This thing was also made completely by Reva. It's written a bit differently now, but the idea I got from him. Once again, I would not know about this otherwise. And this is absolutely fucking big. Because I used to have a fixed size to my GUIs, and I'm like, oh well, I guess I can't resize it. Well, now I can, and this sort of thing makes the most sense to be able to resize. I mean, you can even have it full screen and it will work correctly. All thanks to Reva, so thank him once again whenever he appears on the server, which it's not gonna happen probably. Nevertheless, on escape we destroy result list GUI. Let's see where that is. Here it is, and I minimize and destroy. As explained in the reason why I minimize and then destroy is explained in the video that you just got the pop-up for. And that's it, I'm pretty sure. So we covered this, that. Yeah, pretty much. Did we cover this? We didn't. Okay, we'll get to that then. So, when after you create the instance of the class, then you can call either StartSearch directly, if you have some way to get the input, but usually you will call getInput, so you get this whole thing. Let's go over StartSearch, how the search actually happens. So, first of all, we minus redraw. Essentially, what this does is every time we add a new entry to the list view, the window doesn't get redrawn. It just waits until we redraw plus to update all of those changes. And this matters even though the window isn't shown. So that's a big performance boost, once again, made by Reva. Amazing, truly, right? This is the search is in progress thing that gets automatically closed once we got our results. This is the fix for searching an entire volume, which I already explained. If it's just the volume letter, colon, and a backslash, then remove... Oh, I didn't actually explain that. Yeah. If the title of an Explorer window is just this, capital letter, colon, backslash, then we remove the last character. Or, to be more specific, we only take the characters up until the last one. It's written kind of magic-y, I understand. Oh well. It's imperative, I would say. Essentially, we're taking C colon and discard the backslash because here it is. So this now becomes C colon and then backslash. The reason for doing this is because here we don't have a backslash, so it will be appended to by loop files. So the only situation where we would have a backslash in the title is if we're searching an entire volume. So that gets taken care of. FDR meaning we search for files, folders, and we recurse into subdirectories, which is what we want. Cool. What is find? Find is syntax sugar made by the string library that I shouted out multiple times already. Hold on, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh. Okay. Cool. So find is just in string, but made to be a method instead. Simply because they like using that more. So you could use in string to reach the same exact effect if not faster, I guess, but at this level, speed is not a big difference. So yeah, it's essentially in string a loop file name. So yeah, that's just the file or the folder. If we can't find input, so our search request, then we continue. So that file doesn't matter to us. However, if we could find that, then we continue. File attributes. Let's check them out. Loop file attrib. So there are a bunch of useful stuff, but the most useful thing currently is whether or not it's a directory. By using this, I don't do any strange rejects to figure out whether it's a file or a folder, because files can have no extension, which is the next thing you would think to discern folders and files. Well, you can just look at the attribute of the found thing. If it's a directory, we add it to the second column. If it's not, that means it's a file, so we add it to the first one. This is just for clarity. Reva came up with this idea as well, because for him it was difficult to understand what's a folder and what's a file. And by having two columns for different types, it will be really easy to understand what is what. Now we do the redraw to update all of the changed things, and modify call is a very nice thing. So we have this. We didn't find any folders, so this is automatically collapsed, or almost collapsed. If we found only folders, it would be like this, with all the folders here. So essentially, modify call auto-fits the columns to what they should be, depending on length of each entry. So, amazing. Also made by Reva. At this point, it's almost like he made everything. I mean, sure, I'll give him the credit. But I was the one that figured out that AHK is somehow faster than Windows. And Windows is not written in AHK the last time I checked, so that's pretty ridiculous. Amazing comment by Reva once again. So we autosize it. It used to be fixed width and height. No need. Now it's autosized like normal. Okay, so that's how we search stuff. After we got our results, we get them. Pretty simple. And get input is for you to type in your search into. We get the input and we pass it to StartSearch. So, clean input box, wait for input. I already explained what's happening here and all this in my clean input box video. Yeah, and that's it. Now you can easily search for anything that you want. As simple as that. Very, very usable. You can find all of my code on GitHub. In every single of my videos, actually, I leave a link to my GitHub profile. My libraries are in the lib-v2 repo, and all of my other, more personal, usually, code is in my main repository. So, things like keys, or rather, this thing, where I actually made my hotkey, stuff like that you'll see in the main repo. But stuff like file system search and all the dependencies that I'm using, you'll see in lib-v2. So check those out. You'll probably find a lot more useful stuff that I've made. However, I don't like to write comments. This plethora of comments is very uncommon to me. I usually just write and forget about it. Alright, thank you for watching this video. I hope you found this helpful. And if it did, wow. That's improper. That's not how you talk. Yeah, if you found this useful, leave a comment, leave a like, definitely subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.